Hello everyone, and welcome back to some Elden Ring. I hope you all are having a better day than I was when I recorded this, because every once in a while in Elden Ring, you just get some bad days where you run into some people with not great manners and do some unfun stuff, and, well, fortunately, I have some nice footage of being able to teach some lessons. This Phantom's fine. He's nice. I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna party. This guy's got a jar on his head. And then this guy comes up with a jellyfish shield behind my back while I'm just jamming with this Phantom. So I back off. I'm just like, all right, I can reset. Maybe I can wave because like we might be chill. This guy's fighting. No worries. I was about to murder his host. And then Hosty starts throwing sleep pots. And because it's been quite a few ganks, it's been a rough day of invasions. I'm irritated at this point. So, and here I pull out the trusty vulgar militia shodel because this is my workhorse for shields. As you can see, the pierce damage through is nothing to sneeze at, and the running heavy does a lot of poise damage. So, like I said, mostly here, I was just really irritated by those sleep pots. It just felt like the host was just like, "Oh, sleep pots, these are good for PvP," and I'm just like, "All right, I'm gonna murder this Phantom." Almost got him, and then Hosty comes up and is just like, "Hey, pay attention to me. I buffed on with my jellyfish shield in your back to introduce everything." So, yep. Does this guy deserve all of the with the point down? Probably not. But as I said, some days you just get a little bit irritated, and I do have to laugh at the Phantoms just being like, "Oh well," especially Jar Guy, because I think they're just they. But yeah, there are some weapons and things that just if you use them and an invader is having a bad day, they might get a little salty. And I know I said in the last one, I'm going to work on trying to not be as salty, but everyone's got rough days, and sometimes there's just nice footage when you're coming here and trying to wreck up a gank. Now, these guys are ganking. Is it super obvious from when I came in? No, I just saw two guys fighting a red and they got taunters targeted. So I'm not like I'd say like I'm not super uh yeah, I'm like they're using good stuff, but I'm not just like, oh. But as you can see, that guy loves his L2. He thinks that if you L2, you just win. Man probably used a lot of rivers of blood. And granted, Stormhawk Axe is really good. I like it, but it does have more moves than L2. And I had some nice teamwork with my other red there, and we just had a great time. So here, I'm just like, oh, it's these guys again from Taunter's Tugging, and this guy immediately buffs, no waves, bolt of Grand Sax. I'm just like, oh, these guys are ganking, and why do invaders get irritated by gankers? So I think there's a good part of it, like gang fighting ganks is like great content because it's an underdog story. I did kind of just hear like Saint Riot talking about that a little bit, being like, yeah, it's crazy because like you're overcoming all of them, like the odds of them setting up to murder you. But why I think a lot of invaders get irritated by gankers is they just think we're dumb, or and because as you can see, like these guys greeted me with 300% aggression, of like golden vow, L2s into my face. They're immediately ready to chase me down. And as you'll see later, like half this level is cleared. And like there just aren't enemies. And so meaning like they've been doing this, and it's like they're not trying to get my attention, they're not looking for an honest 2v2, they're just attacking me. And as you can see, he's the Phantom has gone up over to that building, and it's like, sure, I'll wave. And that was mostly just a friendly taunt of I'm gonna, hi, you have to come over here, you can't reach me. So I see him. He thinks that I don't see him. These guys are probably in voice chat, and this guy wants me to come fight him at the base of that where his Phantom can come down and jump on my head and then spam stuff and they can blender me. So this is why I'm just like, gankers are irritating, because they just think that we're stupid. And there's the point down being like, you're trash, and I'm just like, haha. You know that they're when they're trying to do the tactics like that, you've irritated them. And now we're going to do some cardio, and there's going to be a couple of jumps because these guys like to chase. Like, see, Solaria's gone, all the Mausoleum soldiers are gone. So I'm just like, well, dang, I at least thought I might have had a boss there to work with, but nope. These guys are just here to plunder invaders, and they think they're good at the game. Now, you hear me say that, like, there are some hosts that are inexperienced at, and you see here, I run up over here and they're not trying, and they're just like, this guy, again, it's insulting because, like, he bowed, like, they're trying to get me to come down. Like, I don't know that that the host is going to bolt of Grand Sacks me in the back as soon as that fight starts and he gets an opportunity. So this is just insulting. But then I get a co-invader, and then it's on. Oh yeah, I I lost track of what my thought was in terms of. Oh yeah, gankers. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that when there are people who are, let's say, not as technically skilled at PvP, I will say that they are inexperienced, even if it is a pretty easy fight for me to win, because they're just playing the game honestly. Gankers, like these guys, I will wholeheartedly say, are bad at the game. Why are they bad at the game? Because they stack literally every advantage possible in their favor to blender invaders, and they still lose. So that means either they're bad at planning, they're bad at executing, and even if they're using some of the most overpowered and highest setups, they still fail. So therefore, they've got some skill issues. And so, and they assume, like, see, he's got storm stuff to just like try and blender, and these guys love their L2s with the Storm Ashes of War, especially the host with his Stormhawk axe. So the yeah, so that is why I'd say gankers like this are bad at the game, because they just assume that invaders will walk straight into their attacks and die. However, like, we don't do that. If you've played any amount of PvP, you can tell that these guys are just assuming that their opponents have a negative IQ. That was a sick Trolls Roar kill. And so that's why gankers like these are bad at the game. And I'm not going to call any honest co-opper bad. And here this guy loves his cardio. And Oh, and I want to point out, like, this co-invader is awesome because sometimes you just want to trust your co-invader to take on whomever they're taking on in the 1v1 and then go with them afterwards, because mix-ups can be risky because you can, or by mix-ups, I mean, like, opponent swaps and making it more of a direct 2v2 can be a little bit risky because you can hit each other and the host and phantom can't. You don't want to throw off each other's rhythm. Here, we've been doing some excellent swaps, and that mostly jump was just to show how far this man is running. And can you guess what's going to happen next? And then here I meant to teabag and point down this guy because he's bad, but I will point up my co-invader because they were awesome. But yeah, run around do your cardio first and get better at the game. Now, this one these are just two honest dudes, and I love them. So this guy, what I would say is, like, he's a co-opper, but he's got Vike Spear. He knows that that's really good for PvP, but otherwise he was doing a Godskin cosplay. So what this guy is kind of doing is he is actually being the manners police, I think, just to make sure that I'm not pulling anything funny or unfun. So I wanted to include this one. But here I'm just like, guys, come here. There's a site of grace, and this host, I don't think, just this host is inexperienced. He doesn't understand that I'm just trying to get him to the site of grace and be nice, because not necessarily all invaders do that, and they don't have to. So I think from that, I have won the goodwill of the other Phantom who has Vike Spear. He's just like, you know what, I'm just going to let the host duke it out with this guy. This guy let us get to the site of grace. So, yeah, and now we're just going to have a little bit of a brawl. And I don't feel bad about healing because, well, this host was very eager to attack me. Again, not all invaders are going to let you go get the next site of grace, so sure, there's nothing. But yeah, so I was including this one here because it's funny, because that Phantom is just like, I'm making sure that I'm not doing anything that is like unfun, unsportsman, or like weird. So I wanted to include this one, and like I said, like, there's nothing wrong with using strong weapons, nothing wrong with being aggressive, but yeah, like this one is just a honest, fun little romp, and then I get stabbed in the back by Vikes, and sure, try and get some runes. Like, whatever, we're having a good time. But yeah, now we are again back to one of my favorite spots. I love the sewers. So here I see them summoning another cooperator in a random spot. This dude has Vikes, and that guy's light rolling halberd, so I'm just like, okay. Although these guys are being, I don't know, slightly more honest about it, they be ganking as well. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this one. And thought I was gonna do some better, like, oh yeah, this is what's going on in like the fight commentary for at least in the second one. But I think I just kind of explained it's like why gankers are frustrating to invaders and why people want to try and find more organic invasions. Because there's nothing wrong with doing optimal teamwork strategies in order to try and not not die. And so that guy, he's just a mage, whatever. He's not getting anything. This guy, well, if you're using all the so why the frenzy stuff is why PvP players are not generally a fan of the frenzy stuff, and I would say pull it out as like something nasty for later, is that the phantom status buildup of madness triggers regardless of whether or not you were actually hit by the attack, meaning that you can get madness to take the health and FP damage, and then on top of that get stunned and hit again. So that is why invaders are generally frustrated, like why PvP players are not a fan of Madness, and because he's just spamming a bunch of Madness stuff, that man gets some tea. Now here, because it's been a little bit of a rough day, I'm not used to fighting light rollers, and this guy does have a pretty good idea of what he's doing on in the 1v1, and the Guardian Sword Spear is a really good weapon. There's nothing, like, it's not, what I would say, overpowered kind of like Vice, but it's still really, really powerful, and I wanted that backstab. So here, like I said, it's been a rough day of invasions, and I'm just trying everything, and it's just, this guy's playing the corner, and getting frustrated doesn't always mean that you do well in an invasion. So here I'm just changing things up to try and catch him with anything. And also I don't really understand when the hyper armor frames work, because I'm still experimenting with axes, because I love axes in this patch. And also, I'd like to point out a key difference between me and the ganker and the other gankers. I realized that L2 is not the only button on Stormhawk Axe. I know, right? It's absolute revelation. Because invaders just want good fights. And yeah. So here I'm trying to go with power stance straight swords, because they're a bit faster, and if I catch them I can just do a ton of damage. However, I'm having a bad time because I come over here to use the raw meat dumpling and then I tab out. Or something. So basically, I die, something weird happened on my computer, and then this man just killed me as I was standing still when I was unable to control the thing. However, I don't think they have Taunter's Tongue on, but like, they be ganking, so I get a rematch. And I'm so happy when I can have salty runbacks, except this time they've swapped off who the host is. And yeah. But here, again, like, the Frost Iron Greatsword is like one of my favorite PvP and PvP weapons. And also really good PvE. And also don't use Howl of Shabriri in PvP, because you take increased damage. Like, and there's madness buildup, because I don't think it's not yet, but pay very close attention to the Phantom, who is spamming abilities that cause madness buildup in himself. And here I'm just trying to connect Stormblade, because that should finish. And he procced madness in himself, because he wasn't paying attention to the meter. So this is why, part of why you shouldn't spam, as I am spamming Stormblade through this Omen, because the Omens can hit me. And then there comes their other friend, who was already around, but he was probably summoned from that one spot. He gets completely blended by the Omens. Here's Mr. Madness Man, who doesn't understand that Stormblade outreaches, and there we go. Now things are cleared up. Now, hunters. I don't mind hunters, and usually I would say hunters are, there's a 50-50 chance that hunters are a hindrance, especially because they just deliver flasks to the invaders. They could be AFK, they could run off and get killed by PvE, or bring PvE up to you and give an invader an advantage. But there's also the chance, like, that I get here, where it's so unlucky, but I make the most of the situation. And here the hyper armor is so good. I could just keep like walking forward and like great swording this guy. Here I just change over to the broadsword, and I'm just trying to get something, but he gets me with the L1s. And the hunter spawns not only 3 inches from him, it's a fingerprint shield hunter. Now, I think this backstab might actually have helped me, because despite me being frustrated by it, it pushed me through the host, who doesn't follow. Like, follow your phantoms, and then kick is so good. Just, this is what you get for walking forward and blocking with fingerprint shield. And now, to finish off this video and the catharsis, hope you all enjoyed some Revenge of the Manners Police. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in a more lighthearted video next time.